Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening. The moment there is a smell of impending elections, the more votes. Nothing wrong with that because that's the base of a democracy. But when they come up with their manifestos, with their agendas, apparently all of them promise utopia, promise you heaven on this earth, promise you a life the like of which you have never even imagined. And yet, when you imagine that, it's like presenting a very beautiful girl with a veil. But the moment you rip over the veil, you remove the veil, you find a witch. And this is what Liberal B team of Canada has done. I'm referring to NDP, National Democratic Party, which is neither national nor democratic. It should be socialist, basically, or a communist. The aim of the new agenda they are formulating in the process is to abolish all billionaires. Amazed, no? The whole agenda, if you look at it in its entirety, wants to abolish billionaires and thereby abolish all the job opportunities. Is the millionaires and the billionaires who set up ventures, who give employment to the millions of the people. And the aim of this party with this agenda is to abolish that, resulting to unemployment, resulting in recession, resulting in social disaster. If we look at the various aspects of this agenda, I'm shocked. The first proposal they say is abolish billionaires by taxing all gross wealth above $1 billion. And what should be the tax rate? 100%. So if your gross wealth is 100 million, a billion, then whatever you earn after that goes to the state. Now, is anybody mad that they'll work hard, they'll undertake the headaches, and then give away their returns to the government? If they give off their own accord as a matter of charity, something different. But to force them to do it only means destroying the economy. Now, I remember this is exactly what was happening in India way back in 50s and 60s. At that time, the highest income tax was 95%. So if you are earning more than 15 lakhs at that time, rupees, you were to pay 95% of that as tax. And the result was, you know it, people were not taking up the industries, establishing the industries and the firms. So Jawaharlal Nehru invited Professor Keldor from USA, who said, no, this is wrong. And it was slashed to 65%, from 95 to 65. And that gave some impetus to the businessmen to start. So NDP wants to abolish the billionaires by taxing them 100%. Then, apart from this, they'll have a wealth tax for the personal income of the rich, and then severe penalties against tax evasion, including confiscation of untaxed profits, asset seizures, and jail time. Well, this, the last part, I can accept, which is desirable. But the first two, definitely no, no. There is sure recipe for disaster. Now, after taxation, let's come to what they think about the health. Canada is a reasonable, or rather, much better health system than most of the world. Of course, it's not as good as UK is, but if we still compare to the rest of the world, we stand pretty high. Now, this party says that they want to have high quality long term care, ensuring all facilities at a non profit model. Now, the government has to do it, they can do it by themselves, but if they want a private investment, then the profit motive has got to be there. Otherwise, secondly, even if the government has it, from where the money is coming if there is no profit at all? The system as prevails today in Ontario, for example, is one of the finest systems. And then they are saying that they'll pass legislation requiring maintenance of adequate stockpile of personal protective equipment at all times. Do they know that that means wastage of money? You can have a certain limited quantity, but adequate stockpile is something which is not possible. You're just dumping money, and the PPE, by the time it's used or needed, would have outlived its life. And they want a public agency to manufacture and distribute. Typical socialist. The government has no business being in business. So why do they want it to manufacture and distribute? Another recipe for disaster. Third, create another crown corporation to produce vaccines, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices. Why? What's wrong with Baxter and BD and others who are GlaxoSmithKline or Apotex? They are producing vaccines, they are producing pharmaceuticals and medical devices. Where's the need to create a crown corporation which will be competing with the very efficient private corporations and funded by whom? You and me. And the purpose would be to appoint CEOs and CFOs who are the cronies of the political leaders. Thereby, they may be inefficient, but they'll be there. Then they want to create a new central health accord to ensure vision, chiropractic, physiotherapy, podiatry, and senior care all covered. Well, okay, but from where the money is coming? Maybe after destroying the economy, they think that money is going to fall from heaven. Here comes the beauty. They want to decriminalize all illegal drugs. So LSD, ecstasy, everything should be available on the market. You go to a departmental store, go to Walmart, there's a aisle where you get all the illegal drugs because they are now decriminalized. Purpose? To make people unfit for work and unfit to protest. Then they update the policy that all Canadians are entitled to access abortion. So, free sex, unsafe sex, because you can have abortion very easily without pain. And they say that this should be available at cost. So, destroying the health, giving illegal drugs, destroying the economy, and now come to the labor. Create a guaranteed basic income. That means welfare, welfare, welfare. And welfare is always responsible for producing parasites. Then a minimum wage of $15 to $20 per hour. Minimum wage. From where would the money come? On the one side, they're abolishing the billionaires who will give the money to the workers, and then they want to increase the workers and finish them off. Something is wrong somewhere. Then they also want 7 day employer paid sick holidays and 14 additional days during public health outbreaks. And at the same time, those people would have a right to strike for all working people. Again, that is justified, but it must be for a reason. And then here comes the beauty: nationalize major auto companies and shift towards building environmentally sustained cars, which are not there. As I talked earlier, that the so-called electric cars are going to run on the electricity generated by fossil fuels. The batteries are going to be produced by that. That is a misnomer. People are being fed, or they are being led up the shit creek. But here they want to nationalize. Have they not seen the experience of India in nationalizing banks, for example? And now India is denationalizing them, disincentivizing them. We had excellent airlines, and India nationalized it, and those airlines are now start again to be privatized. So the sensible countries are privatizing, and NDP says no, we'll nationalize. And then another beauty, they'll reduce the working hours to 32 hours without loss of pay. So you work for less time, but you get the same salary from those people who are being taxed at 100%. Now comes environment and transit. They'll reduce emission by 55%. Well, that's doable. I can understand. Because when there's no industry, there'll be no pollution. And when the people are dying of hunger, they will not go in for cooking even. So no pollution. When the people are not able to purchase clothes, they don't have to wash. So no soap suds going into sewage and no pollution. Then they say net zero building code for all buildings, new buildings. They want to build the buildings with a mud and coal dung. Otherwise, how can be net zero building code, which is not possible? Scientists are laughing at it. And then another beauty is destroying Alberta. Actively campaign against all new pipelines. So the main industry of Canada is oil. Canada has more oil than any other country has. And to sell it, you need pipelines. And NDP says, no, we'll see that no new pipelines are established. So either destroy the economy by taxing 100%, or destroy the economy by at least of Alberta and the Western Canada. Then impose a green tariff on foreign goods and services that do not have a competitive carbon pricing system. So things come from China or from India, they'll have tax on that. Fine, great. And then the people who are already unemployed because of the high taxation, because of nationalization, because of the cronies being the heads of the new government organizations that are being set up, from where the people pay the high prices. And then establish free public transit within 1 year of forming the government. Free public transit nationally? Are they in La La Land? Are they aware of what happens? And now comes indigenous policy. They want to put an end to the heroic commemoration of Canada's first Prime Minister, John Macdonald, and remove his statues from public places. What a great job for a national party to do, to remove the statues of the founder of the nation. Return of all the crown lands to the indigenous people. Okay, return all the land. Where would the immigrants go? All the people you're getting. A contradiction. On the one side, they want to increase immigration. On the other side, they want to return all the crown lands. How do they resolve this anomaly? Now they come to the Palestinian rights and the foreign relations. Why is Palestine a special love for these people? I don't understand. There are hundreds of other places. Myanmar is there, Yemen is there, Sudan is there, Angola is there, Nigeria is there, Rwanda is there, but they love only Palestine. This is anti-Jewish lobby, nothing more. So they want to end all trade and economic cooperation with Israel and to ensure that the Palestinian rights are upheld. Now imagine in Middle East, those Muslim countries are coming at peace with Israel. But here they say no. Then to support the Indian farmers as if it's a permanent feature. The support for the Indian farmers agitation is decreasing in India. But here in national party says no, we'll push the federal government to condemn the Indian government. You condemn the Indian government and Jagmeet, let me tell you, the government of India would ban your and your legislative entry into India. And let me tell you, you are dependent on India. India is not dependent on you. You had placed sanctions on India after the Pokhran test, and then you begged India, please help us remove those sanctions. How, charity begins at home. Be sensible at least about your own drawbacks. Then the social issues. They want a review of RCMP's 10 million budget and reduce it. Of course, law and order is not required because the guns would be available, illegal drugs would be available without any restriction. And if illegal drugs are there, they'll be in a state of coma, mental coma, lethargy, hypocrisy. Then they are easily available in sex and drugs. These are the two prime things of parasitic society, and that they'll make it freely available. So naturally, RCMP is not required. Then they want to defund police forces in Canada. I only can pity their pitiable brains if they have any. Then they call for a particular cause on the government to freeze military spending, as if there's a lot of military spending, and they want to phase out Canadian forces. Canadian forces even now are a joke. Even the third-rate countries have better defense forces than Canada has. So what are you talking about? Housing, a moratorium on evictions, mortgage foreclosures, and utility cut-off due to unemployment. So you take a house on rent, you don't have to pay because there's a moratorium, you can't be evicted. Who will build the houses then? And if they build the houses, why should they let it out? They know it is going to be taken over by the tenants. They'll pay for a couple of months and then say, no, we can't afford to pay. And then students, they'll cancel all the student debt of the current and the former students as well. And support a universal transit pass for the students. So these are the highlights of the most lunatic agenda ever thought. That's why I call it a sure recipe for disaster. NDP is becoming National Disaster Party, not Democratic Party. So think for yourself. Should such politicians be there in the public life at all? Can you trust the nation to be safe in the hands of such mentally incompetent people? These nincompoops who have no vision, no understanding, and are far removed from the reality. The only purpose is to come into power, freeze people, become rich, live like leeches and parasites. God say, grow up. have some sense of balance and some sense of economy and national needs. Otherwise, you are no better than animals. To such politicians, when I think of them, I have a feeling of nausea, a revulsion. And I think of Shakespeare when he said, "Thou art siren, hark in the garb of dove. Be gone from here, I kick thy love. And I kick the love of LDP, the National Disaster Party, right now." Thank you.